The school is 23 years old. We have a population of 1,900 pupils. We've been expanding, so everything's been going great until COVID-19 happened.
The schools were closed in March. I got worried as a teacher.
We were so sad because it was just an abrupt decision. We weren't ready for it. It just felt like I was restricted.
We were not sure what would happen to us. We did not know what would happen to our pupils and our staff members. We were very worried.
When these learners go away for long, when they come back, they are like factory reset.
As a candidate, you have a national exam at the end of the year.
All the work that they have been working on would possibly have to stall.
I have bills, I have a family, and we depend on this job.
Fear of the unknown, fear of the future. How are we going to meet our obligations? How are we going to survive?
We felt hopeless and desperate. We saw a situation where our learners will slip away.
Okay, let me find the assignment.
Was talking, so you can proceed with what you are explaining.
When we were exposed to that Google Classroom, it felt this is what we needed. Hello, learners.
We soon realized that we needed more control over our offering. So we signed up for G-Suite for education.
It was easy because I just kept playing around with the buttons, then I discovered new things. What's been a trade in our country? The teacher is there. The teacher is explaining the concepts, just like in school.
Transport is movement.
Parents appreciated and they decided to chip in financially.
We have been able to keep going. We have been able to sustain our staff members. That is vital to our survival.
Mademoiselle, Mwikali?
You are earning something, and therefore things were moving.
We have been able to get pupils that are not originally from our school to join our classrooms. This helped even community around us to continue learning despite the restrictions and schools shutting down.
I can confidently say as a teacher, our students are ready for the final exams.
What is my name? So Chantal.
The things we've done with Google Classroom is no different from the things we were doing during our normal classes.
And so the disruption to our learning has been minimal.
Whatever transformation COVID has forced us to go through, is welcomed because the transformation is here to stay.
The space of education has changed. We cannot ignore the strides that we have made during this period.
In Swahili, there is this expression that says,
Baada ya dhiki,
Faraja. We have been able to grasp the opportunity and grow digitally in a way that we never got to do before. And Google for Education has been the silver lining, and it has helped us remain relevant in very uncertain times.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are streaming this event. My name is Oscar Limoke. I am the moderator for today's event, and I'm very excited to be hosting a panel of very exciting people, including the host where you've just seen the introductory video where it was shot. And I'll be very frank, the motivation around this tech forum is partly inspired by the innovation and adaptability of the Little Lamb School all the way from Eldoret. The Little Lamb School was able to demonstrate to us the possibilities and capabilities of what committed and motivated institutions, regardless of location, geographical, and access to different infrastructure, are able to adapt and clutch on to sustain business continuity and survivability. The case of Little Lambs really brings to the fore what committed people within organizations can actually help overcome different obstacles. And what major obstacle that we've all faced around the world than the COVID-19 challenges that got very many businesses, very many organizations shutting down. I think the biggest impacted organizations were education. But I'm very glad to share some insights when we'll be going through this session is education institutions seem to be the ones that were actually very and really quick to grasp and grab onto technology, and especially Google Cloud technologies, to adapt and continue their operations. The story of Little Lambs and many other stories from organizations across Africa is what will be the major focus of this PAWAIT Tech Forum 2021. I'm just going to give you some quick program run. I'm the moderator and host for the event. Right after me, we'll have the pleasure of having Mr. Michael Murungi to give his opening remarks. And right after that, we have the pleasure of hosting this Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Film Classification Board, which is one of the agencies that is at the forefront of adapting technologies and cloud technologies to sustain and adopt operations right in the wake of the pandemic. So I would want to welcome Mr. Michael Murungi, the Head of Governance and Public Policy at Google Kenya for East Africa, for his opening remarks, and right after that to welcome Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, the CEO for Kenya Film Classification Board. Mr. Michael, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Oscar, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our participants joining from various locations. My name is Michael, and I work with Google here in Kenya. I support Google in government affairs and public policy in Eastern Africa. Let me say first, thank you very much, Oscar and your team, and to everyone else, my co-panelists, to Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, and everyone joining for the opportunity to address you in this forum. I'll be very brief. I think I'll just say that, first of all, with COVID-19, everybody around the world, we were confronted with what we like to call a once-in-a-generation challenge. It's rare that we have the 3 punches of a global pandemic, an economic downturn of unprecedented proportions, rising demands for equity in quite a number of parts of the world, and also dramatic strains on financial resources. Actually 4 punches to the stomach that communities all around the world have taken, and we in Africa are no exception to this. So the rain from this perfect storm is falling hardest definitely on emerging markets such as the ones in Africa, Kenya and all our neighbors, and indeed across Africa. Because, we have been struggling in our economies to manage not just the pandemic, but also we have fewer public health resources, and we also suffer from greater economic vulnerabilities. And yet, I also see a silver lining in this, just like we saw from the video from Little Lambs. To every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. And I see that emerging markets such as ours have some of the most vibrant and the greatest entrepreneurial energy in the world. And I have no doubt, at least in my line of work, we have seen that with the right policy frameworks, emerging economies such as ours can become ideal launching pads for future innovation. And so this challenging moment of the COVID pandemic may be exactly the right time for us to pursue ambitious digital transformation using our immediate recovery efforts to develop sustainable economic gains. And we see Google's role in this to be a lot more. And it is based on continuing to execute more on our mandate, which is to make the world's information universally accessible and useful, and also to continue to be a company that helps people get things done. There's a lot we have done in the light of supporting with the recovery from the pandemic, especially more directly in dealing with the pandemic itself. We have done grants and donations to directly support both the science research, access to vaccines, and the economic recovery side for communities and businesses impacted by the pandemic. Even at the product level, we have built some support into our products in terms of the ability of our users to access relevant COVID-19 information. We've done community mobility reports to support with logistics and support governments to understand how populations are moving, and therefore if restrictions measures are being adhered to, or where it's best to plan for those. We are working on exposure notifications, technology we've developed internally to help build on your phone the ability for users to be notified in case they've come into contact with somebody who is exposed or who is infected in a way that is secure and private. And we've done dedicated online hubs and seminars on how to work, learn, teach, and do everything from home, or indeed from anywhere, as now we have to in this age of the pandemic. And of course, a lot more work on getting businesses online to continue to be easily discovered and reach customers both far and wide. But as I conclude, I'll say that, excuse me, one of the ways in which we think that we can continue to deepen this growth and sustain the momentum from the economic recovery is for governments to adopt the right policy frameworks to supercharge the digital transformation. And this means not only that government themselves will transform their services and their offerings using digital tools, but also adapting policy frameworks that enable businesses, communities, and organizations to succeed. So the Kenya Film Classification Board has been one of the organizations we've been collaborating with in that regard. We've done webinars for parents and students now that they were suddenly pushed into learning online, and more young people accessing more content online, and we tailored a series of online webinars on online safety. And we continue to partner and lead other engagements, especially around promoting Kenya's tourism and Kenya's culture through online tools and online platforms such as the one that the National Museum has created on Google Art and Culture platform to showcase Kenya's culture and heritage. And therefore, since it's better you hear from our partners and people who have more experience and more traction on the ground in terms of how these tools are useful for their organizations, their communities, and the people that they serve, I'll stop there now and welcome Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board, to make his remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. To Oscar, to all the fellow panelists and summit participants, our audiences, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are tuning in. My name is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I'm the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board. I'm delighted to join you in this meeting today and to be able to share our experiences, especially in the use of the Google Workspace during the COVID situation. And let me say, I'm excited to join you and to see the diversity of the panelists that have been also roped in. I think this will be a very useful, vibrant, and insightful engagement so that we can all share our experiences. Like I said, I'm the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board. Kenya Film Classification Board is a state regulatory agency that regulates film and broadcast content with two purposes: to protect children from exposure to harmful content, but also to encourage filmmakers to tell our stories, to tell the African stories, to tell the Kenyan stories, and to ensure that stories capture the cultures and the national values and aspirations of our people. That is the philosophy behind the work that we do. So we do issue film licenses to all the filmmakers, local and international. Anybody who wants to make films in Kenya, from whether they are coming from abroad, whether they are local filmmakers, they are required to obtain filming licenses for them to be able to get the permits to do their work. And then we also rate and classify film and broadcast content for age suitability. We give advisory to our consumers. And of course, we engage, we do public sensitization, particularly through partnerships like the one we have had with Google or digital parenting and other platforms, to ensure that stakeholders understand the essence of film classification and the work that we do as KFCB. Now, when COVID came, obviously, just like anyone else, we were hit hard. It was a moment of uncertainty, of shock. But like they say, necessity is the mother of creation. We were able to very quickly organize ourselves to see how we could continue delivering services within the difficult times that were visited on us by the COVID-19. And it was not easy because I think before COVID, we had not quite appropriated the use of IT as a way of doing business in the manner of doing meetings and offering services on time. And it was difficult, given the diversity of our stakeholders, to be able to quickly move into the new normal and be able to organize ourselves. But thankfully, we were able to do that. And within a very quick time, a short time, we were able to find ways and means of using technology to hold our meetings, to work from home and from wherever we are, to deliver our services, to migrate our filming licenses online, to be able to hold board meetings virtually, because of course there's a matter of government policy. Physical meetings were limited and they still remain limited. And so the need for us to totally migrate to the new normal and migrate in a manner that safeguards the integrity of our services, that safeguards our relationship with our stakeholders, that ensures ease of doing business and ensures fast and efficient service delivery was our aim. And therefore, we did a lot of benchmarking to see what then were the IT facilities and features and services available that we're able to use to be able to deliver services, to be able to continue engaging with our stakeholders, both internally and externally. And like you've had, especially in the element of film licenses, this is both an internal and a global service that we give. And in fact, COVID became a blessing because by being pushed by necessity to migrate our services to online and enabling our filmmakers to apply for licenses and get them online and be able to pay also online, it actually improved on our services, and we have been able to do better during COVID than before. And therefore, filmmakers from any part of the world, Italy, France, US, UK, anywhere in the world, were able to get their licenses and continue to get their licenses online, and they don't have to come to our physical offices. The same with the film classification. The submissions are done online, and we're able to rate and give the decisions online. But like I said, the idea was, how do we safeguard the integrity of the information, the integrity of the interactions, the protection of the data, the ease of communication, because we wanted to get the best out of a bad situation and ensure that as we migrate, we do not migrate in a manner that compromises our services and our integrity. And therefore, after a lot of benchmarking, settling on Google Workspace and getting to see how efficient and how convenient and how safe the processes have been, has been an awesome experience. It has helped us to improve on delivery of service. In fact, in some targets, we have outperformed ourselves, doing far much better than before COVID, delivering services on time, communicating with our staff, being able to collaborate on sharing of documents, being able to enhance the ease of doing business with our stakeholders, and managing our systems and our structures in a manner that that the data is safe, is protected, but at the same time, we are able to share where necessary on the information on the go and be able to benefit together as a team, both with our stakeholders internally and externally. And this has really improved. Like I've said, we are sufficiently, we are pleasantly surprised that we are doing better now during COVID than before COVID, that our service delivery has improved, that we have been able now to appreciate this new normal. Our meetings have become more efficient, saving on time and space. We are saving more money in tear and wear because people don't have to move to work physically. The sustaining of meetings and the whole arrangement of people having to report early, open offices, clean and do all manner of things, that has been removed, cutting on costs, but improving on efficiency. And I think for us, this is a great thing. We have issued more licenses than before COVID. The interaction, like I've said, with our stakeholders and facilitating the all appreciation of the new normal, enabling service delivery and ensuring that working from home or from wherever we are, including monitoring the content that is aired on different platforms, including digital platforms. And for us, even the challenge of protecting children from bad content, especially during the online classes, the engagement with the schools and with the parents has become more efficient. And we've been able to reach out to more organizations through our public sensitization, to reach out to more people within less time or with saving time, but also using less money. And I think this has improved greatly in our reporting structures as well, creating or diminishing the span of control and enabling us to be able to communicate, and reducing, of course, the downtime in terms of the communication between ourselves and our stakeholders. The very fact that this is 24/7, that we have availability and connectivity with each other, and we can reach each other within instantly without much delay. This has really improved. It's a new phenomenon. It's a revelation, and I think like someone said, there's a silver lining in COVID. So efficiency of delivery of service, collaboration, ease of communication, both internally and externally, data security, and the fact that even the storage of our data is unlimited in the cloud structure. This has really helped us. And so as a board and as a government agency, we've been able to serve our clients, to reach our regional offices that are spread across the 47 counties in Kenya, and to be able to interact with our regional managers. Now, we've never done a physical meeting with our regional managers since COVID started, even for the main board. And we have directors who are streaming in or who Zoom in or join the meetings virtually from every corner of the country. But still, the efficiency of the meetings and the integrity of the meetings has been something that we never thought would be possible. So I want to say this has been a great experience. We are grateful that COVID came and opened our eyes into the opportunities that are really available. And so despite the downtown and the downside of it and the challenges that humanity is facing because of the lack of the social interaction and the physical interaction, really there's a silver lining in the manner in which our data has become safe, the interaction, the efficiency, and the saving of time and the money in delivery of service. I think that's what I would want to say, and thank PAWAIT for involving us in this and for giving us an opportunity to be able to share our experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I think as you were speaking, I was taking some notes, and the only negative I could think of or capture from your story was, I think everybody is not very happy we're no longer getting per diems to travel to different cities for physical meetings. I think you speak very highly how the technology has enabled everybody and everything to work very efficiently. But I think from individual standpoints, we can all agree we are not very happy because we no longer travel to get per diems. Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel. Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. And one of the fantastic things I also gathered from these, which aptly captures some of the things you do at KFCB, is this proverb from Chinua Achebe: unless lions have their own historians, tales of hunting will always glorify men. And this is a very apt moment where, yeah, just getting this firsthand from you as a CEO of a government agency, talking and spewing very remarkable observations and things that have happened in your organization is really, really remarkable, and demonstrates that even as Lions, we will have our stories to tell, and we are starting to tell them through here. Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I very appreciate your time. I would want now to move to the next session where I'll be sharing a very small insights from the data that the Lions, the people in the field, the different organizations across Africa that we support are telling us. So we were able to do a small review of different insights and just capture out what are some of the things different organizations are doing, and what are the stories and what are the data tell us. So I'll share a small presentation just to capture some certain insights. And then from there, we'll go into our panel discussion. So just pick this. So this is my very brief presentation around different insights we've observed from the different customers we have across Africa. And as we get into this presentation, we are starting to realize remote work is now the new normal of work. I think nobody is gonna disagree that. And Dr. Ezekiel and everybody who's in the panel are clearly showing us that. And the fact different organizations are growing and thriving, and the revenues are up for some organizations really demonstrates how this is normal. Work is no longer now a function of being in a place. It's a function of not being in a space. It's clearly a function of getting the work done. And the research and different data seems to support that. About 48% of workers are saying, whether COVID or not, we want to keep working remotely because we've clearly shown we can work. And people are realizing now time is precious, or as they say, is it life that is precious or time is precious? I mean, what people are taking care of their kids. People are now being able to to make moments and memories with people who matter to them. And working from home is allowing them to do both. It's almost having your cake and eating it. You're working, but at the same time, you're also spending time with precious time with the people who matter to you. But also some people are starting to realize we need human connection, and that is just what humans are. And in as much as we're working from home and all that, being disconnected from fellow colleagues can really take a toll on some people. And so that is where some aspects of technology are coming in to help people, still maintain close proximity to each other and through virtual connections and the likes. And that's very interesting insights we are starting to see. Now, further away, office workers are telling their bosses, from a researcher we recently looked at, I'll quit my job if I have to go back to work full-time, back to the office. And I was reading these numbers and smiling and being very intrigued because, for example, in India, 49% are clearly saying, I will look for another job, almost 50% if I have to work physically back in the office. I mean, look at those numbers, how they are varying across different industries. 49% in India, 40% in the UK, and quite marginal numbers in different parts of the country. This is really just demonstrating to the fact that, you know what, the new breed of working, the new type of employees, the new type of people need you to find a way to actually make them work remotely, make them find jobs that can allow them to navigate both probably a hybrid of working at home and also in the physical office. So as a chief executive officer, as a CTO, as a business decision maker, you can no longer fail to ignore these realities of the new normal, whether it's COVID or post-COVID. This is going to be the reality moving forward because, as I say, the people have tasted blood and they want more. They want to know, I can still get my work done regardless of location and space. Now, however, this presents, and just moving much forward, breaking this demographic in the recent past, because employers are now at a confusing crossroads because they have experienced the highest quit rates, in the last 2020 to 2021. A huge number of people are walking out, right? But people are also saying they're missing their colleagues. 50% of workers say they're missing their colleagues. So how do you make sure you're sticking to the COVID protocols? You're making sure the well-being of people is paramount, but at the same time also helping them stay connected. 33% were complaining about burnout, right? So how do you help your employees or your workers learn how to navigate and balance out both remote work and working away from the office? And I'm sure it's usually very easy when you're in the office to create activities, engagements to help people, distress and decompress, but that's not the case. But one of my most fascinating insights came from this second part, where 49% of all workers, 32% of baby boomers, and 57% of millennials workers. I'm sure millennials in the house can say, yay. They're saying they will look for another job if they are required to return to work 5 days in a week. So nobody's saying they don't want to work in the office. They don't want to say they want to keep working remotely, but they're just saying, please give me a flexibility to balance both, to have it both ways, right? And the millennials are right at the forefront of it. And these are the majority. These are the people we are currently getting in the workplace. These are the people who are learning, as we are seeing the Little Lambs video. These are people who are used to already embracing technology in learning and doing certain things. So when you tell them they have to do things in a certain way, it's quite interesting. And 9 out of 10 executives, according to a report by McKinsey, say they will consider a hybrid working mechanism, right? That is only 90%. Almost everybody has to now start considering, how do I do both a mix of hybrid working remotely and physical in the office while adhering to work standards? I think recently Google postponed the return to work in certain offices around the world, obviously because of some of these insights. That really presents to the reality people have to adapt from an organization workplace. However, a large remote work poses new security threats and challenges to different organizations. This is a challenge now where IT and technology and cloud have to come in and people cannot overlook it. For example, Google estimates 18 million emails were sent per day related to COVID scams. 18 million only in a day, right? Now, this represents 39% of all emails that was health-related, right? So if I'm reading an email, I'm not sure whether it's from a health profession, from whether from a legit government agency, the chances are about 40% of those emails are scam, are spam, are irrelevant information. They have incorrect information. There are people who are denying other things, right? But on another report done by the Cyber Insights research report, Nested, in 2017 shows about 84% of organizations will be hit by a DDoS attack, right? Now, and every 40 seconds a business is hit by a ransomware attack, right? But according to a Kaspersky report. I'm presenting these reports because to demonstrate the fact that as we put in the effort to work from remotely, the challenges of now securing organizational data, the challenges of now seeing to it security and access to the data for the organization is well controlled, well protected, well secured, is gonna take a toll on very many organizations, and the SMBs and the smaller players will really have to adapt and perish because they do not have the luxury of investment and capital to put in huge capital outlay in advanced security resources for that reason. So what comes to mind? Cloud can be the new normalizing factor as we'll be looking at some of these new insights from different organizations. Now, a very interesting report that I looked at again, but one of the things that was very loud for me was $1.8 billion was lost in 2020 in a business scam called business email compromise. This is a scam where someone masquerades as somebody in your organization. I can masquerade as the CEO of Kenya Film Classification Board, send emails to internal people and get them to pay monies to bank accounts controlled by myself or my associates. I think I can shout here, Hush Puppy. Anybody know about Hush Puppy? I mean, those are the new realities. And that is the largest internet scam and fraud reported by the FBI in 2020. The second closest that comes to it is the scam related to romance, love, which is really personal, at about 600 million, which is about 30% of what's got to do with the business email compromise scam. So what is that telling us? Businesses are the ones at the largest risk of fraud and internet theft. They're the largest risk of losing money directly because this is where everybody knows the money is. I mean, I target a business, I'm likely to get money, as opposed to target an individual, for instance, in romance and the personal promising new wealth and Nigerian prince kind of style. And for context, ransomware, which everybody fears, which every organization is very scared of, comes at almost nowhere close, at 29 million loss, right? So if you compare ransomware, which a lot of organizations pay a lot of attention to upgrading their legacy IT infrastructure, supporting it, securing it. Ransomware, really comparative to the business email compromise, which is 1.8 billion, is completely dwarfed. And these are the new realities, these are the new numbers both large and big organizations have to start looking at really hard to consider what are they gonna do. I think the other fascinating number I looked at is the number of emails that get sent in a day, right? 2.4 billion emails get sent every second. But surprisingly, almost 120, a huge number of those emails are actually spam, right? So learning how to make sure your message and your emails reach the right audience is gonna be very important. And I just thought I should tell you a very fascinating thing I saw somewhere is the opposite of spam is harm, you know. If an email is not a spam email, it's actually called a harm email. I think engineers, computer engineers have a very strange sense of humor, perhaps. That was just an interesting. So now let's look at some of the countries where we've gathered some insights of how they're using different Google Cloud solutions. So that's a map representing about the distribution of different clients we have across Africa leveraging different Google Cloud solutions. So we've picked some insights, a cross-section of different insights we've captured from those organizations, and they tell or present very interesting proxy data that is going to be telling very interesting stories. For instance, if you look at the distribution of Gmail versus Google Drive storage across 18 African countries in the absolute values in gigabytes, Kenya, obviously, with a very large number of customers adopting cloud, is really at an all-time, largely using email, at about 52,000 GB, about 52 terabytes, followed by the usage of Google Drive is really little. But the fascinating thing about this data is when you start looking at it in detail, I want you to look at a very small country here, Somalia, that has about absolute use of storage on the cloud is on cloud storage, which is about 6 terabytes. This number represents about 50% of what Kenyan clients are using cloud storage for. And it's telling of very interesting insights that we'll be looking at. And the data is very fascinating when you keep looking at it now. Now, if you look at the percentages of how the different countries are leveraging these, if you put them on a linear scale, fascinating. Countries in the lower end, almost all of them going 100%, more than 50%, just considering cloud as a safe haven to store data for cloud storage, for Google Drive storage, right? Tanzania, Somalia. Zambia is using 85% of just Google Cloud for consideration for cloud storage. Uganda at 72%. Nigeria at 70%. Ivory Coast almost 50%. Telling the priorities of different organizations and different countries, how they're seeing cloud fitting into their landscape. Personally, where I see it, I'm seeing organizations that are largely considering cloud storage as those who want to completely leapfrog legacy IT and move into cloud consideration for data storage because of security, because of availability, and because of reliability. Of course, against the challenges of infrastructure in our different countries. Now, we looked at these across different industries, 12 categories of industries. And the financial services is very fascinating. And we have somebody in the panel who is from the financial services, where 95% of their usage of cloud is largely on email, right? Followed by hospitality, of course, technology. Technology telling a very interesting story. So that's how, and you can see government coming really close to private sector, telling very interesting stories, how different government agencies are right at the forefront of seeing, you know what, cloud is the way to consider adapting and staying way to keep providing services, government services, right? So the social and civil services coming in largely using cloud for storage, agency and advertisement, people who are constantly sharing data and files, really focusing a lot on cloud storage, document collaboration, and the likes. Now, we looked at number of video meetings had in the last 7 days across different countries. Fascinating look at this proxy data. And again, I want you to look at these countries. Nigeria, about 144. Another country, Zambia, 135. Another country that is very fascinating is Ethiopia, 220. I'm pointing out these numbers because the number of customers and the number of data sampled across this organization is really about 1% of what we have in Kenya. But they're actually punching close to 10, 20% of what the Kenyan cloud adoption looks like. So people are saying, you know, that cloud is a new way to say hello. If I would quote the KBC old station, yeah, video meetings is now the new way of saying hello to everybody. Yeah, and these are just numbers that represent in about 7 days. Right? So really people are embracing, and different countries are moving to the cloud and realizing it's really the new normal. Now, looking at this again at the at different industry categories again, financial services really clearly come out strongly to be the people who want to talk to each other. I'm assuming these are people we need to talk before I give you my money, before we need to consider anything. But very interesting, healthcare services. I didn't see that coming, are very even beating business services. You can see healthcare services are really moving close, and I suspect this has got to do with people internally discussing and doing lots of meetings between each other. Of course, the energy being at the bottom of it, I'm not too sure why that's the case. And another fascinating factor, we looked at all our data, and this is the amount of storage just one customer we have has committed their data in the cloud, 131 terabytes. I look at this number and I'm like, how many servers would this client need to actually store their data in the legacy way, right? And we are very interested because these insights are giving us it's a very early look at the earlier insights that we're just starting to see what different organizations are making sense of the cloud. And part of the reason we are having this forum is to actually meet the actual experts, meet the different people from different industries across Africa who will be telling us whether this data is really telling a real story or there's really nothing, it's just that. So I want to end my presentation here because we want to go in the most exciting session where we'll be discussing with a panel of people. And these are people drawn from different parts of the country, different parts of the continent, different parts of and different industries, and we'll be having a panel discussion with them to ask them how has their year from 2020, the year of the pandemic, how did they transcend and manage to stay afloat? So I'm very excited about the next session, and I'll be bringing them up to the studio one by one. And one of the things I promised them is when they come up, they have 45 seconds to tell us about who they are and one of the biggest mistakes they've made personally or a missed opportunity. I wanted to say one of the bad things we don't know about them, but I was corrected. So I'm going to start it off. Starting us off is Dr. Shiko Gitau. Please, who are you and what is the biggest thing that happened in 45 seconds?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Shiko Gitau. I'm the CEO of Kala. Kala is a digital innovation lab. We are headquartered in Nairobi, but work everywhere, thanks to cloud and being a remote team. One of the biggest mistakes I've done is being too afraid to take huge risks. There are opportunities that I have seen in the last year that I felt like, oh, we are too young or too this to pursue them. But looking back, I realized we could have just done it, but we self-correct and move ahead. And I'll answer your first question, the one that, what is the one bad thing? The year of the pandemic made us realize we don't have to make our hair every week. So, so we have continuous bad hair days and nobody knows because you're connecting online and nobody's switching on their videos. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shiko. I'm going to bring next somebody down from Zambia, Mr. Jackson Mwape. Very fascinating story Jackson has from Churches Health Association of Zambia. Mr. Jackson, please tell us. If Jackson is not ready, okay, Jackson is up there. Jackson.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Oscar. Thank you so much for having us as chairs. We do appreciate this conversation. My name is Jackson Mwape. I'm the one heading IT for Churches Health Association of Zambia. In the Kenyan context, chairs is like CHAK, Churches Health of Kenya. We are a principal recipient of Global Fund. Those are our main funders of our resources that we use. We've been running our institution for the past 50 years now. But IT evolution itself started when I just joined in 2007. There was no IT department, but then I had to get engaged. By then I was working with CRS, so the little knowledge that I thought I could get more. Yeah.
I think you've missed my point. You have 30 seconds now to say as one bad mistake you made.
The bad mistake is okay. Sorry, the bad mistake that I made basically is not getting to where we are now. Yeah, I think that was a delayed opportunity because where we are now, these services would have been implemented way back than having to wait for COVID to basically help some of these institutions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. I'm going to move quickly to Niger, Lagos. My friend, Mr. Babatunde Olasoji from SKLD, Nigeria. I think I make a lot of jokes about Babatunde to show my age or to show off my age, depending on how you see it. I think I remember a very prolific Nigerian soccer player called Tijan Babangida. And I keep asking Babatunde if that is his cousin because they all have Babatunde. I'm sure next time I'm still start asking him, is Baba Yao your cousin? So Mr. Babatunde, please. 45
Hello,
seconds.
everyone. Yeah, so yes. My name is Babatunde Olasoji. I'm from Nigeria. Very importantly, two things I picked from what Oscar said about the Osh Poppy and the Nigerian prince. So for me to be a patriotic Nigerian, I would quickly like to correct that. So in Nigeria, we produce highly intelligent people. Currently, in President Biden's cabinet, we have 3 Nigerians working for him.
Okay.
And the Director General of World Trade Organization, as we all know, she's a Nigerian. So I can continue like that, but I will stop there. So just so you know. So I'm the head of IT for skilled integrated services. And, I'm into a lot of things from project management to data science to business intelligence development and a whole lot of things. So I bring all this expertise into play at skilled integrated services to ensure that we come out very, very productive. So as a project manager, I make mistakes all the time, especially in the area of timeline. So sometimes I tend to omit some of the, variables that I consider before I give out timelines, and at the end of the day, I miss the timeline. So these are things. This happens often. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Babatunde, and correction received. I am very sorry to offend the very intellectual and intelligent people of Nigeria. Please forgive me, Mr. Babatunde. Next, we'll have the amazing Catherine Wami, all the way from Eldoret, Wasingishu.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Oscar, and greetings to everybody. My name is Catherine Wami. I run Little Lamb Schools in Wasingishu County in Eldoret. I've been around for the past 23 years. And I'm a second-generation director. It's a family business, and I'm not the founding director. So before I worked in school, I worked in the banking industry a little bit. And one of the bad things that happened was in that industry. And just as soon as I finished school, I got a job and I was working as a cash teller. And one day, my colleague gave me a batch of notes that had inserts inside that were not of the same denomination. But because I'm too afraid of confrontation, I did not address that guy. I didn't ask him. I didn't tell my boss. I just went into my pocket and filled up for the difference. And I think that's a terrible thing about me. I need to confront some of these things. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Catherine. Good thing you were loaded. You could afford that, I'm sure. So, very next, quickly, we'll go to Mr. Fred Kithinzi, the CEO of Belva Digital. One very amazing guy I know. I think I've known this guy for about the last 12 years. We've been in each other's space. Mr. Fred.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. Yes.
Good morning. Bonjour. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Oscar. Thanks the doctors we've had great conversation so far. Introduction, I'm Fred, as you've heard. I call myself an entrepreneur. I create opportunities around the internet ecosystem. Founder and CEO of Belva Digital, a Pan-African marketing technology company. Pan-African is what you want to be, so we live the dream. And been in the business for the last 8 years. The mistake was, I think initially I used to hire people and then do their work. So I would, now I've learned to trust and let people do their thing and learn to fail and just fix things as you go. Yeah.
It's a function of edge, and the edge shows clearly on your chin. You can see whatever is in your chin is not paint.
Please be kind.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Very much. Simply moving next to Collins Mekubo, the head of technology at Standard Investment Bank. I'm not going to make that our joke, Collins, because I know we are very serious now. But I make a joke of Collins being someone who jumps at night from certain plants, mostly bananas. So Collins, how did you jump into Standard Investment Bank? Collins.
I think just to say my name, I'm Collins Mekubo. I'm an IT engineer with quite a number of experience in different industries, that is in construction, education, investment, and currently financial space. And I think, Oscar, coming to your point of probably the number of mistakes I've made quite a number, but the one that is outstanding earlier on in my career is definitely the aspect of security. I used to think, or rather I used to have that perspective that security is more revolving around devices and engineer blocking a certain site, user not to access this particular site. But then later on is when I actually realized that you need to involve more the end user than you can think of. So I think that has been really so much into trying to secure the cyberspace, which is one of the things that I actually thought I would have realized much earlier on in my career.
I think you should watch a TED Talk titled The Human Firewall that really looks into how the human is the ultimate firewall in the tech space. Thank you very much, Collins. Next, I'm going to have Marion from the consulting world. I like to make a joke about consultants. They're the people who tell us everything that is wrong with us. Marion is the system manager at Open Capital. Marion, welcome.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Happy to be here. Just again to introduce myself, I'm Marion Karanja from Open Capital, which is a management consulting and financial advisory firm with offices in Kenya, Uganda, Zambia, and Nigeria. when I look back at a mistake, rather is with the year of the pandemic is trying to figure out that everyone is like me with nowhere to go and just work. And I think with working from home, it was more about now creating the boundaries. So to me, that was actually a mistake, understanding that there is a difference between creating that work-life balance. Yeah.
The wall of Berlin, or is it that one? Thank you very much, Marion. I think the final panelist we have is all the way from Uganda, Mr. Julius Sali. Doctor, I know you're not a doctor, but you're from a medical facility. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Julius Sali is my name, and I'm the head of ICT at Uganda Cancer Institute, Uganda, East Africa. You're welcome, everyone. The biggest mistake I think I've made with me is hosting emails at UCI, and it's really, I regard that as the biggest mistake, and I don't think someone would wish to do that. All IT managers, I think, will agree with me with that. Thank you.
And you look more healthier than I saw you 2-3 years ago. Clearly, you've been having enough sleep. You never used to have enough sleep, and it shows now. Your skin is very radiant. Thank you very much, everybody. I think now we'd like to bring everybody on screen just to start our conversation. And I'll start off my conversation with a very clear person, Dr. Shiko. You started a company right in the middle of a pandemic. What were you thinking?
Let me tell you, hey, madness. That is what when they tell you entrepreneurship is madness, that is madness. But I'm glad we did. So we started the company on 4th of January, and then yes, it was in the middle of the pandemic because the pandemic had just started. But I think we were arguing in our head because I remember having this conversation with somebody. The SARS was here. SARS never affected us as Africa that much. So this one is a passing I wanted to say chickenpox, not chickenpox. The other one was the pig one, swine flu. Yes. It really never affected us. So we thought, oh, swine flu kind of pandemic, it affects people with cold places and snow. So, I mean, we're very confident starting off. And the goal, I feel like I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. So I draw a lot of my lessons in running a business from that. And I felt like when I look back, I know it was the right time to do it. If you had done it later or earlier, it would not have worked. It's just a matter of perfect timing for us, because we started, and I remember in January and February when we were hitting out clients saying, oh, we are doing digital and innovation. This is the capability we have in the team. Are you able, can we have a conversation? We'll have this conversation, exciting. And they're like, yeah, you guys make sense, but we're not there yet. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We can see, but does not make sense. Let me tell you, 13th of March, people are like, oh, that flexible working you guys were talking about, how are we able to adapt it? What are the tools that you guys adapt? And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's this organization where we had tried talking about flexi hours. We had talked about using cloud, storing your documents in the cloud so that you can co-create together. And they're like, we work on very sensitive information. And later on, they're like, sensitive information has to be worked on, so it has to be worked on the cloud. There's nothing about locking a computer in the office, because work has to go on. And for me, it was just a matter of timing to start. When I think about Kala, it was just a matter of perfect timing, because the first 2 months were for us to set up the team. The next ones was to be able to now work with clients through their transformation journeys, asking what is the biggest, what do you want to be in 5 years, and how can we future proof? And funny thing, some of the things we're looking at 3 to 5 years that we're trying to future proof came really quickly in 2020. Those things that your business will be eaten up by can you see me? Everybody's stuck on my screen. Yeah, that your business is going to be eaten up by software. Like literally, they could see it happening in the front of their eyes, because we had like this nice banner saying every company is a software company, and software is going to eat the world. And everybody's like, yeah, software is going to eat the world, but I am in this industry. Then they started realizing e-commerce. Anybody who was saying yes, e-commerce can be done, but those are for young people. You young people with credit cards are the ones who like e-commerce. Then Mama Mbogas and Mama Chapati started delivering on WhatsApp. Things started becoming real. Yes?
I want to pick a conversation around what you've just said. People are gonna be. You went into this with so much confidence, but I think my friend, and you also talked about people adapting e-commerce and software. I think going to my friend Babatunde in Nigeria, he went into this very scared. So different looks at things. I think SKLD, that's the time they were considering cloud, and they were also actually moving towards growth. Babatunde, I know this was not very easy for you, right? You went in scared.
No, it wasn't. We were majorly into retail business at the time, and not just retail. It was specialized. We were focused on school business, so it's seasonal. So, and you would know that during the pandemic, everybody was at home, but that simply meant that we were not able to sell because children would not buy. I mean, parents would not buy school uniforms. Schools would not patronize us. I mean, and we had highly intelligent people at the helm of affairs. So the question they had to ask is, how do we manage this, situation? So we had to diversify, and everybody had to, put on their thinking cap. That worked for us because today we have really, really expanded. We are into a lot of things now, which has worked in our favor. So it also opened our eyes to doing things in the cloud. So for instance, everything we do now is in the cloud. We don't have to worry about cyber security because that has been paid for. We don't have to worry about space because that has been taken care of. We don't have to worry about the server in the office, is it on? We don't have to worry about VPN and all the other things that on-premise servers, has. So now we are just ensuring that we pay our bills. Like sometimes Oscar will slam me with invoices, and I have to be running up and down to get it paid. But basically what I'm saying is that at the time it was very tough, but in retrospect it was a good time for everyone that could really think.
I think I'll come back to you about how the transition and adoption was very, very challenging, and that is clearly probably what Carla and she could do, helping people ease into the digital transformation, into the digital era. Change is always really difficult, and I see Mario nodding his head. But before I get to that, I want to circle back to people born in the cloud, digital natives. Mr. Fred, you have never known anything other than being born straight in the cloud for that matter. I mean, you don't know anything, right? How was that for Belva?
Yeah, I'll say I think that's the luckiest bit we had, just being consistently in that ecosystem where we had tools, we could easily communicate and collaborate. And you've been a solid partner for us from when I was the only email holder to where we are now with 30 plus emails. So yeah, it's been a journey with a lot of comfort, and allowed us to have that agility and scalability. And especially now when we have a team member in Senegal, French speaking, which is 3 hours behind, but we never feel like they're too far away from us. Even when we do our game nights once a night, once a month, the cloud brings us together. So it's really been a powerful, quite revolutionary for us. Yeah.
So you talk about people being in different locations, and I see Marion being very intrigued because she's probably one of the only person other than other people, I'm not sure, which have offices right across different countries. I'm sure the barriers, the cultural, and all that. So how does cloud and working on different, you need to work with people from different time zones. You need to work with people from different cultures, and you need to deliver things on time. Most importantly, you need data whenever you need it. Maron, I know you have fascinating things to say about that.
Yeah, just to start us off is to understand that, as Fred was talking about, is the right foundation. So he started an organization where he was the only email holder, and the only thing he knows was cloud. So the same happened to us at Open Capital, whereby I would say the foundation had been very good, whereby from 13th of March, the transition was easy. It was more of no coming to the office again, and it's now leveraging on the tools that you have, understanding that some things will change. And just to mention this, Oscar, I remember the conversations we had the first week is that people were so used to being in meeting rooms and doing their brainstormings there, you know, using the whiteboards and whatnot. And here we are now, we are away, and everyone is in a different location. So we needed to think about adopting online productivity and collaboration. And this is where cloud just came in to help. Of course, we tried a number of tools. And one of the exciting things I read yesterday, and you also shared, was Miro and Google working together, because that was a tool we wanted to do. So you realize after the foundation that you have developed and you have set for the organization that is scalable and flexible, and you can now work on that, is enabling data-driven decisions, ensuring that people can collaborate, can use the data despite where they are. And that's why we were able to now look at the tools that we have as an organization that we had acquired, and we came across two amazing tools for us: AppScripts, we've talked a lot about this, and also Data Studio. And I don't know if you want me to share some.
Myron, I'm going to cut you now. We'll get into the insights. I think you want to start eating the cake before we've gone through other interesting things. I want to hear Catherine's perspectives. Being into education space, I think education is one of the biggest pet project of mine. I always tell everybody deploying cloud solutions for education is our CSR, because education gets some of these tools for free, and enabling education is really fascinating. And I think in some of this call, we even have some students. So what was the thought process when you could see this coming, Catherine? You can see the tsunami coming, and you're like, hey, I'm not going to use that cuss word here. But what's going to happen now?
You know, Oscar, we really did not have time to prepare. We were not even given a chance to operate with protocols. We were just ordered to close our doors. So we had to think really fast. And for a start, our teachers would try to engage our pupils through WhatsApp. But looking at the scale that we had to reach, WhatsApp was not going to cut it. We needed something that was tailored to the school environment, and Google Workspace did just that. When you look at what Classroom offered us, it actually gave us a lifeline. Google Classroom gave us a lifeline. You know, our staff members were able to do things that we would never have imagined. And because, just as you said earlier, human connection is really important. So you can imagine if that's what adults feel, you can imagine what the 6-year-olds felt when they were told, now you cannot go to school. And how do they just wake up and stay at home, and nobody's giving them, you know, a proper explanation as to why this is happening. So when we came across Google Workspace and our brick and mortar classrooms became, you know, useless at that point, we were able to reestablish the connection with our clients who are the pupils, and that was great for us.
I think one of the things I tell a lot of people is the law of unintended consequence, because I see even in that video, one of your teachers using the technology not as it was intended, but actually it is being used to reach the people as it should. I see a teacher actually in a physical class, writing on a physical blackboard, but this is being beamed to students in a video session. That is not the intended.
We didn't know much about Jamboard. We didn't know about Jamboard, so we were still learning.
Genius. The point is that actually was able to get things done, you know. And I was saying how some of your teachers would circumvent the challenges of infrastructure, access, and budget for data, where they will ask students to just write normally in their notebooks as they should, and then take a picture and submit it in classroom, and then they just mark it the normal way. Again, that is unintended how the product is supposed to be, but it's being used creatively exactly to solve an existing challenge on the end. So I think your story always fascinates me and makes me very giddy, and most importantly, because it happens outside of Nairobi, where we think is a silicon savannah. I'm going to go now to Zambia. Everybody's talking about people needing to commune and everybody needing to be together. I think Jackson has a very interesting story around that. Jackson, how did you do that at Chaz?
Yeah, so we're looking at a situation where we're coming from, where at first we had no domain. Everyone had the personal addresses, then moving to having a domain, chaz.org.zm, having reliable internet. to especially what you said, and these were sites where you could have on-prem servers locally within our offset. It was difficult because we find the executives at times they could knock off very late, just responding to emails. It was difficult responding to partners at times until we said we need to move to the cloud, because the cloud then will mean you can respond to an email address at any time. And we struggled because we never had the presence of Google within Zambia. So we had to engage Google Island, and then they offered a solution. Yeah, it was shaky at first because we started with the standard version, which couldn't have unlimited storage. But we realized we've got institutions that have got data that need to be scanned, uploaded. The space was needed. So we had to move to the highest level, which is Google Enterprise, which we're currently running on. And from the time we started running Google, definitely we've had a very good achievement in terms of our operations. Our offices are decentralized. We have membership of 151 membership across Zambia. And these are in remote areas. Thank God there's presence of, there is internet connection where people log in using their mobile phones. We do distribute drugs. We run a distribution from Lusaka for our medicines. That is on malaria, TB drugs, then ARVs, and all the medical supplies. So when, hello?
Jackson, I'm going to cut you short a little bit on that because I want to talk to two more people here who have very interesting stories. I want to go to Julius, the person who said no IT manager should be running their own on-prem data center. Julius, what did you mean by that from your experience before having sleep to now having very sweet sleep these days?
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. Actually, it was, should I call it a nightmare hosting? Because there's so many things involved there when you're hosting your emails. As a colleague already said that you look at the physical servers, you look at the VPNs, you look at the certifications, you look at internet, you look at so many things that are involved when you're hosting. Say, for example, in one or the other, you never know, a server can easily crash. So do you have a budget that can easily buy another server immediately? You may not have that budget. So as government, we always do the budgeting process earlier. So you plan activities, what you're going to do in the next financial year. So in that case, there are so many things that were involved. Server crashes, you have to buy antiviruses, you have to buy those certifications, the self-certification. There are so many things that are involved when you're hosting, and it's really, really quite a headache. So since when I went to the cloud or to the G Suite, I can sleep well, I can have enough rest. Even I don't know what's happening, whether it has crashed or not with Google, which I don't think. Has Google ever crashed?
I think Collins has an answer to that. Collins comes from a very highly regulated industry, the financial sector, and he's always, as head of technologies, it is business to be always jittery of technology, of anything. Collins, what do you have to say?
It's good that you mentioned Standard Investment Bank. First of all, we need to understand what it does. It's not a commercial bank. So we are one of the Kenya's largest indigenous investment bank. And it was founded way back in 1995 with a proven track record in executing large complex transactions. And this is on behalf of our both local and foreign clients. So what this means is we are a highly regulated environment. And as you can note, we are actually the only money manager who were licensed in 2018 to be the first money manager dealer in online Forex. So this means that we really have to work in compliance with the regulator body, which is CMA. And that means that a lot of our information, rather a lot of our communication, whatever we dissipate outside there has to be really regulated and has to meet certain standards. So to that aspect, security and data privacy becomes one of our major concerns, especially us as people in the investment space. So what does that mean? It implies that whatever technology, cloud technology we have to implement has to meet these particular regulations. One of the challenges we had in 2020 was that we were moving from a space where we had people working in a controlled environment, a centralized environment. and people had to move out of the offices. People had to work from home remotely, and the business has to still move on. Remember, this is at the time when we were actually launching one of our pioneer products called Mansa X. Remember, the same year, we were able to report about 18.75% return. And this is despite
take my money.
Exactly. That was despite the pandemic effect. So if you look at that performance, and then you look at the performance of the market during that time, then you wonder, how did SIB hack on this? It's because we actually had to incorporate a lot of cloud technology, and this included Google Workspace. And Google Workspace came into play, especially when it came into communication. We had to author our processes differently, in that some of the instructions we were taking initially that were either coming on paper or what had to be transformed. So it means we had to take online instructions. And for you to be able to do that for clients, then you have to take care of what we call security aspects. So remember, earlier on, Oscar mentioned a lot about statistics, a lot of statistics about phishing and about what do you call it?
Business email compromise.
Exactly, and all that. So if you look at the report that was given by Verizon Data Breach Investigation Report, nearly a third of all cybersecurity breaches involved phishing. Phishing technically meaning that the first point of entry into this attack was basically on email.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, Terranova also did a phishing tournament that they indicated that almost 20% of all employees are likely to click on a phishing email link, compared to about 80%. Then on that 20% of it, a staggering a population of 67% of these are most likely to be able to present their credentials on these phishing websites. So what that meant is, as you go outside, rather as you go into your homes, different homes, you're not able to actually limit the network by which your employee is actually working on. So
Collins,
this brings in, sorry?
Collins, I'm going to cut you there. Okay.
Yeah, so what Google Space did for us in this particular aspect is we have a feature on which we are able to filter particular emails that actually get into the end user, at the same time the emails that come in to our inboxes. So this means we've been able to protect our staff members against phishing attacks.
I like that, Collins. I'm going to put on the gears on highlight and go back to Dr. Shiko. And I'll share this favorite slide I know she likes to use. She likes to share these in different meetings she does, because I've been privileged to one of them, Eddie. And it presents to the different, the people who matter in organizations always have their titles start with C. CIOs, the CTOs, the COOs. And incidentally, we had a new entrant in the organization who was responsible for embracing and forcing organizations to embrace digital transformation. Chico, what do you say about this? I know this is a pet project of yours, and looking at some of the clients and organizations you support. What do you have to say about this new entrant in the C-suite who doesn't have three-letter words?
It's C19 actually, and he and she's called Rona, and and she helped organizations. I always say, for the longest time, I had the hardest problem explaining to people what I do for a living. Like even my own parents, like saying I do like IT things. So I used to be the local tech person, to seeing people using. First of all, they'll say, oh, it's Zoom. Now we can do Zoom and YouTube. I mean, it is a first step. But the second thing is when you start people realizing, how can this IT help me change my business? And then you start having conversation. And why did we get to that point of having that conversation? Because these were brick and mortar people and they were making great money. Yeah. But then COVID made sure that they cannot make that money. And then when COVID eased off, guess what happened? People had already realized there's a new way of doing things. So they're not going back to the old ways, more expensive ways of doing things. Yeah. So moving from offices, I know schools, you have to go to the school and stuff. But many people are now thinking, how do I decentralize my team? I'm saving on space. So the one question they're asking, what are the tools that I can use to become a flexible workspace? That is number one. How can I move my whole business online and still make money? And that is the biggest question that everybody is looking at. And that's a question that we're having with a lot of people. Everybody from manufacturing, how can I sell, cutting off the middleman? Yeah. I remember we were talking to somebody, I can't disclose their name, and I'm saying, you know, I'm a manufacturer, and I have this whole people between me and you. I have 5 people that I use to get things from my camp, my industry, my manufacturing center to you. How do I remove these 5 people so I can make that money? And it's a big industry, and people started realizing I can actually sell. It can be manufacturing to the retail process is being disrupted completely because of e-commerce. So for me, what Rona did for us was show people the other way of doing things. That tech is not just for young people or the creatives, as we are called. It's for everybody. I mean, one of our clients is a church. Yeah. In fact, when we're talking to the church, I never thought in a million years we'll work with the church the way we are working with. You know, sometimes when you think about the church, you're going to do praise and worship. You're probably going to set up something for them. But these guys, they're thinking, oh my goodness, thank you for COVID, because they'll never have thought about it. Yeah. It would have been an abomination. Some of the things they're doing will have been like complete abomination. But now they have adapted like full technology. They're on Google Suite. They're the ones who are pushing. In fact, I've just received an email. They're pushing us to move fully on Google, because now they can have their meetings and Bible studies and meetings with all their people. Instead of moving everybody into a center, they can have these meetings online. Discipleship is the one that I realized. They said, can we do discipleship online? I have people from across the world. Can we say, yes, you can do discipleship online. We have Google Meets for that. And it's tools like Google. Let me finish, just 1 minute. It's from Google, from Google Meets to having bespoke tools to run their own organization, like a proper corporate. That has really gotten me excited. And then rolling out a full network, like thinking of a church that is saying we need proper network. Internet has to work properly, is what Corona has done. Because initially they'll be saying, put your phones down and listen to the pastor. Now it is, please tweet this message, which is a great thing. Amazing, thank you.
And I know that project, because the amount of data these people want and are considering to put in the cloud is really ludicrous. Another thing you're talking about, I think that's probably before Corona, that's what they'd be doing, you know, uploading files like that in terabytes. We all know how that is. And you say something, and I know Jackson has an experience, obviously working for a church experience, around communing internally. Jackson, that very experience I know you wanted to talk about, you keep beating around the bush.
I keep beating around the bush, yeah. Sure, so our operations, like being a church institution, we conduct devotions every Monday and Friday, and that is mandatory. So we had a challenge when you had COVID that, in fact, we stayed for 2 months without having devotion. Management kept being bothered that we need to find a way. We cannot stop doing our core regulation of praying. So management sat. They had a long list of applications to use, without knowing that we had an internal system already that we can use. We told them, no, but we've got Google Meet that we can deploy. Said, okay, we try it on. So we had the first devotion, which we sent the link, and people logged in. That was well done. We were praised for that, but we needed also to be sharing music. Because usually we could be singing the hymns, this one. But then, how do we manage the singing? We said, okay, that's fine. Google helped us through our partner, PAWAIT. We consulted them. We need to be sharing music. How do we manage that? Definitely with the Google Tabs, we had to go with the tech guys. We did a demo. The first devotion that we conducted, where we played the music and shared a lot of our songs, was marvelous. And then the composition of our membership, that usually we hit 120, because basically cutting across, we've included all the license, find the security guards that could be by the gate, but with their mobile phone, they are tuned in to listen to devotion. Drivers who have been doing the distribution of medicine in remote areas, they log in to devotion, they listen to devotion, they continue. If there are any issues in terms of staff or meetings, we find everyone is connected into wherever they could be in the remote areas. So with us, at least Google Meet, with the tools available, it has been very helpful for us. We don't feel limited. We feel really we're on top of things. We don't feel we're lagging, we're missing out in terms of resource sharing. There are videos that we sent in our institutions that we have been using Google Drive to share to our institutions. Previously, you could send every vehicle that is going there, you cut a DVD, then that DVD has to be taken to the. But now we have to log in. It's difficult.
So that wasn't a myth. So Jackson,
it was.
I'm going to stall you a little bit because I know another story that is tying together to that is from Babatunde in Nigeria. It is also ties to what Dr. Shiko was saying about manufacturers looking to cover the middlemen. Babatunde, I know SKLD is the middleman. Shiko is trying to help people cut through. I mean, how does that come through? And I know you guys were able to really get around about it, get into e-commerce as well, get your audience, because once you are able to establish the biggest impediment around properly serving people was around technology. You guys were able to do that. And I think you were sharing with me, you guys also killed it last year in terms of profits. I mean, those are not my words. Please just echo that. You're on mute, Dr. Babatunde.
Sorry about that. Okay, prior to deploying Google Workspace, communication, emailing, and all the other stuff were, a nightmare because we were using different applications, and sometimes these solutions are not even efficient. So deploying Google Workspace really helped us in the sense that everything has now been put together into one solution. So nobody can tell me that, oh, I did not get this, or I have issue from my hand. You don't have any issue from your hand. If I want to have a meeting with you now, we hold the meeting now. I see you. I'm sure that you're working. You don't, no excuses, because Google Workspace has provided everything, and you don't have to switch from one page to another page or need to log into another solution to be able to get things done. So that really helped us. And because COVID changed everybody's mindset, because you just have to be serious. If you are not serious with work, I don't want you in my space. You understand? So everybody got serious. And of course, initially we faced the challenge of bringing in a new solution. People were a bit skeptical. People wanted the old solution. They were asking what was wrong with the previous solutions we were using. But now I can be chatting with someone on Google Chat now, and we just switch to video because I needed to see what the person is doing. Also, in the area of documentation, we can have Google Doc or Google Sheet, and we can be editing at the same time, real time. So that really helped us immensely, and that really created a high level of excitement in the mind of our people. So it really changed their work mindset and their attitude to work. And we were able to, relate with also our clients as well, because things just changed with Google Cloud Workspace. So the impact is very enormous, honestly, I must tell you. So that's it. Yeah.
I know one time you reached out to us because you wanted your financial analyst needed to be getting data from different sources, and they needed this data that is access controlled. I know we did something around that, but I know I want to go to Marion because she seems to have a better way of that she's cracked it around Open Capital. I mean, you need data whenever you need it. How do you make sure that is happening? You need to automate some processes. You need to make sure you're not calling people. Where is that data? You need it whenever you need it. And if I'm the CEO, I need to be seeing how the data is coming together in very interesting ways. I think Marion from Open Capital seems to have found the magic bullet without actually using witchcraft. Marion.
Yes, Oscar. I think with the pandemic and the fact that we had to learn the tools that we currently had, we did stumble across AppScript, and AppScript basically gave us a platform in which we were able to automate, integrate, and extend the capabilities of what we were doing. And with that is based by the fact that we are a management consulting firm, we do have a number of applications all on cloud, and Google Workspace being our main communication tool, because that's where our emails sit, and that's where we will chat people from. We needed to be able to connect to other tools. And then the discovery of being able to connect via API, do the data download on G Sheets, and at the end of it all, be able to have that flow be live in some place, and that is through Data Studio, was, I think, revolutionary for me. because it enabled me see that I didn't have to do the same thing over and over again, because information is something that is needed in any organization. So day in, day out, someone will be asking you for a report, someone will be asking you for a presentation that is needed somewhere. So the easiest way is that this data is available. So let me make it available for you too.
Marion, I'm going to challenge you to show. I'm going to challenge you to show what Google Data Studio looks like, because it looks like witchcraft. Please.
Yes. So what I have here is that I will just share a sample Data Studio file that is here. I hope you can all see my screen. Yes, and this one is actually sample from Data Studio. And what this was able to bring for me, now changing this into our own perspective, is that you're able to choose the time frames, you're able to create filters, and these filters is based on what you want to do. So it was good because from where I was learning it from, I was learning it from an analytics point of view, whereby this is basically connected, I think, to a Google Analytics dashboard somewhere. And then you get this to Data Studio. So now I was changing this to the context of Open Capital. And it was actually something that helped me realize that we had more tools that we even knew what to do with. So it has been more of exploration, and also changing that people are no longer asking for data, but now they know where to go for it. And this is just one of the success stories, I would say, that came with the pandemic, and also working from home and having the time to evaluate the systems that we have.
Fred, I'm going to come to you. I know being the CEO, you need data whenever you need it, wherever it should be. And you need to work with people looking at 100 files per second. How does that work for you?
Thanks, Oscar, and thanks, Mariam. That's quite impressive. Love the Data Studio. I think just to give some context, agencies, we were mainly creative houses. If you've watched the Mad Men, Don Draper, when agency was about creating the best TVCs and radio jingles and putting the billboard and hoping people see. Marketing now has evolved into more of a science as well as an art. And by science, people are paying more attention to data. So we want to know if a campaign flights today, how many people have seen it, people have clicked it, how many people have come to the website, how many have converted. We are heavy on data, and by being very data-centric, it means then we have to have tools that allow us to be able to crunch that data, understand it, and subsequently then action on it. And that's where Google has been really powerful. I think we all know that Google makes most of its money from advertising, and then on this other side, to come in and become a cloud provider, it natively integrates very nicely. You get to see your insights quite clearly. You get to move away from having your clients ask for screenshots, send me the screenshot of the campaign, or having to wait for a week to know what's going on. Because by creating Data Studio reports, that means anyone can log in, actually can load the screen, or the link rather, put in a timestamp, compare, check what's running. It brings the visibility. And I think we are at the age where brands are not just sitting back and hoping the agencies do all the work. Brands want to be involved as much as possible. And cloud really makes it awesome to do this. And especially the Google Cloud, that native integration has been really powerful for us. Yeah.
Julius, I'm winding down because I know this discussion, we can go on for hours and hours. I'm just looking at my time and everybody just keeps saying, pick me, pick me. I'm feeling very anxious because I'm not sure that I'm doing a good balancing act. But Mr. Julius, a medical institution leveraging cloud. I know you guys were also forced to work from home. And I was joking with everybody who has not as much salt as mine, not that I have the oldest. Like UCI is located in a place called Mulago in Uganda. Mulago is the heart of medical excellency in East Africa. I think I was being told by my father-in-law a few weeks backwards that if you were referred, the only place where anybody would be referred to was in East Africa was Mulago. If there was nothing that could be done from you from there, you'd come back and your people start praying. And Uganda Cancer Institute is located. How does a research institute close its doors? I mean, most of the employees who are not medical staff, how do you make sure everybody keeps running and keeps operational?
Okay, thank you, Eska, and everyone. So as you have said, Mulago has been the biggest hospital in East Africa at the moment. I think even now, because we still receive patients around East Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, Nairobi, Tanzania, everywhere. So the reason they think why we have kept them moving is, first of all, is by using Google Meet. So we have kept on working at home. We have encouraged people to work from home because of the allowing the SOPs and everything because of COVID. So we have tried to make them, to encourage them to do the video conferencing using Google Meet. So things have been going on. You can even a doctor or a nurse can direct a patient from home, or can call a patient directly from the phone or a laptop and direct a patient or a doctor what to do. So it has really helped us using Google Meets at Uganda Cancer Institute, and at the same time also encourage the collaborations and also to share documentations using also Google Cloud suites. So this has been moving on, and it has encouraged a lot of collaborations at UCI, and more so it has actually, it is cost free. Most people, those are the days when people used to travel a lot, up and down, especially our administrative staff. We call them support workers, including me, in hospitals. So we limit movements, and everything can be done from home using Google Meet.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want us to take a very brief pause so that we can all grab some water and switch off our video, and also just enable us to scratch some places that our camera would not want it seeing. In the meantime, we would be beaming up a short quiz. We have some students and different people tuning in. We had promised them, some students are very excitedly joining in, and we promised them anybody who was following keenly, we will give them some giveaways and some very fascinating things. So we're going to take a short break, the panelists. I think when we come back, we'll just have the final word, 1 minute each person, because we are slightly above time, to allow a quick Q&A session and quiz that will be moderated by Eddie to the people who are watching live. So thank you very much. I think as we wait for the results of the quiz from especially the attendees, I'm going to give everybody just 30 seconds to say what they want, and we will be glad to let you go. I very, very much appreciate everybody who participated in this panel. Mr. Collins, your 30 seconds of fame start now.
I don't understand what that 30 seconds of fame mean, but I think the only thing I would want to say is for anyone who has actually not gotten into that space of Google Workspace, they should try it because it has quite a number of features. We couldn't be able to actually bring them out clearly because of the limitation of time. Just to talk about the digital and advertising space, I will encourage anyone who is on Google Space to take advantage of the advertising or the Google Ad feature that is there. It allows you to really customize your demographic advertisement and steer your advertisement towards a particular group. So if you can actually be able to incorporate all those tools that you have in Google's Workspace, I don't think you'll really need to go to any other cloud technology other than in a scenario where you want to have what you call a backup or redundancy. I think that's all for our viewers today.
Thank you, Collins. Catherine?
Thank you, Oscar, for the opportunity. Dr. Shiko said that in the school context, we have to go back to the classroom. But I just want to remind us that we are dealing with a generation that will be very digitally inclined. And so I want to urge all parents out there to support any cause that intends to integrate technology in the teaching and learning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Well said, well said. Babatunde. Babatunde, your 30 seconds of fame end now.
Okay, so for me, in any business, communication is key. So I want people to take advantage of what Google Workspace has to offer. Whatever form of communication you want to deploy, Google Workspace has it. So don't let communication destroy your business. Go and deploy Google Workspace for ease of communication.
Mr. Fred Gidinzi, the 30 seconds starts now.
Thanks. I'll take probably 15. So I think the cloud gives us the power to be agile and to scale. I think every business wants to grow. I think the cloud is the answer to that. Take that step, be bold, don't be afraid to fail. Work with the right partners like PAWAIT here. Thank you.
Thank you. I see what you did there, Fred. Thank you very much. I'm going to go next to Jackson.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Tim, for the conversation and the insights we've raised. Sure, would encourage everyone to use Google Space for cloud services, for all the operation. You basically have the office with you as you move around. You can basically run all what you want from Google Workspace. You can do online registration. You can conduct devotion effectively. You don't need to be limited. I would encourage definitely everyone to go with the application. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jackson. Julia Sally.
Okay, thank you so much, Oscar. Thank you so much, everyone, all the colleagues who have attended. And a big thanks goes to the Google Cloud Space and Workspace. Thank you so much. I think it's the best way to go. I would encourage everyone to use the Google Workspace.
Fine, Marion. I know you were brought in earlier on, but here's your chance now.
Yes, as for me, I would say that I hope everything that we did and what most of organizations did was not just temporary change, because the pandemic will come and go. I hope it was not temporary change. It was the beginning of the transformational journey. And I am happy with what Google Workspace has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Doc, I left you last for a reason. Close it up. Dr. Shiko.
If you don't do it, somebody else will do it for you faster, better, and at your cost. They will kill your business. So adopt technology, adopt cloud, change into a technology business, and start with the easy, low-hanging fruit, and cloud and co-working spaces like Gmail is a starting place for you. It's your business that you have to future-proof. Thank you.
Adapt or perish. Thank you very much. I'm going to let the panelists go. I think I really enjoyed the session. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I know we will be talking to you very soon. I really, really appreciate your time. And really, I'm very, very pleased with the discussion and insights that we shared. I'm going to be handing over the session back to Eddie, who will be running the results and sharing with us what is going on. And finally, I think Marlene has a session to discuss about any person who will have feedback. So Eddie, I'm going to be handing over to you as I get a big gulp of water as you run your results. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar, for that, and thank you to all our panelists' discussions. It was very well engageful. I was watching from the back end, and the comments were just mind-blowing from my end. The winners, people are still filling out our form. That's one thing. We will announce the winners and contact them directly via email, where we'll give, if you're a student, you stand the chance of becoming an intern at PAWAIT, and we'd like to actually welcome you. There are some students that I've seen filling out our form, and that's great. Next up is our feedback form, whereby we will get feedback from all the people that attended this forum, and we'll be releasing out a white paper, a publication on the different insights that Oscar shared earlier, and some others that we will add to that publication. So you can submit your email, and we will get to you, and you'll actually receive a hard copy and also a soft copy of those insights. Thank you all, and have a good day. Keep safe. Bye-bye.